Good morning, guys. So today I want to talk about why self-love is important. Everyone, even if you're not a person who is religious or someone who reads the Bible, I think at some point in time you at least heard mention of a scripture that says in the Bible to love thy neighbor like we love ourselves. It's in Mark 12:31. It says the second is this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other greater commandment than that. So, and also in Ephesians 5:29, it says, no one hates his own body. No one hates his own body, but feeds and cares for it just as Christ cares for the church. So God requires us to love people around us, to love people in our lives, to love everyone, every person, place, or thing as we love ourselves. So that should show how important self-love is. It's impossible. I know for me personally, I struggled a long time in loving people. And the reason why I struggled a long time in loving people and forgiving people is because honestly, as corny as it sounds, we hear it a lot. And I think when we hear things a lot, we repeat it, but we don't know what we're really saying. But when we actually work on ourselves and we actually get the therapy we need and we actually roll up our sleeves and work on ourselves and actually really be the best version of ourselves, all the things that we've heard our entire life, all the quotes that we hear, begins to make more sense. In hindsight, you look at it and it's as if you have these constant, continuous light bulb moments because you finally get it. Because I know I've heard a long time, several times, the reason, if you don't learn how to forgive yourself, you can't forgive other people. You hear it, you believe it, but until you actually get to a place where you're actually forgiving yourself for mistakes that you've made in your past and get rid of condemnation and understand the vast difference between condemnation and conviction, and you begin to give your own self grace and forgive your own sins, forgive your own mistakes over and over again, because that's what it requires. The same way God requires us to forgive other people over and over with their sins, we first have to start that practice with us first. So when I began to get therapy, and I was fortunate enough that my therapist is a Christian. She's faith-based. She's a licensed therapist. So when I began to work on myself in a biblical-based therapist, with a biblical-based therapist of Christianity, I was able to start forgiving myself for the mistakes that I made because I lived in the past for so long. I wrote a devotional the other day, and I quoted Eliana Van Zan when she says, when you keep telling a story, you get stuck on stupid. And for years, I was stuck on stupid because I told the same sob story over and over again. And not just the stories of when other people hurt me, but constant stories in a sense of the mistakes that I made. Not in the format that I'm doing it now, where I'm using it as a way of inspiring people, to encourage people, but I was using it in a context of condemnation. And because of the words that I was speaking about myself, to myself, it was a clear indication that I didn't love myself. So when I finally got to a point where I actually forgave myself, really forgave myself, then only then I was able to forgive people. When I finally got to a point where I could actually love myself and I was comfortable in my body, comfortable in my skin, comfortable with my melanin skin, comfortable with who I am and whose I am, I was able to coexist in environments where people were comfortable with who they are, because I was comfortable with me first. So everything that we exhibit outward is coming from inward, and it won't click until you work on yourself and you look back and recognize that the old you and the new you are two different people. When all of that clicks in your head, you begin to understand the dynamics of the dysfunctions in the relationships in our life. It's a direct reflection on how we see ourselves, how we feel about ourselves, and the conversations we have about ourselves to ourselves. It's all connected. It's all connected together. There was a friend of mine I'm not going to say her name, and she was overweight for a long time. And I can't say we were friends, we were acquaintances. It was kind of like when I saw her, I saw her. If I saw her at a get together. So in 2018, I went to a function. It was for Black entrepreneurs in South Florida or something like that, and I went there. I went to there to mingle, to meet new people. And someone walked up to me and said, Cece. And I know for me, once someone's referred to me as Cece, that's a different type of person, because not everyone calls me by my nickname Cece. Only people who really know me call me Cece. So, but the face of the person looked familiar. The voice of the person looked familiar. But I was like, who is that? And then she's like, it's me, it's me, it's me. And I was like, oh my God. I didn't even recognize her. Literally, y'all, she lost a whole person. Like, whole person. I was like, you look great. And we started talking. You know, we went outside. It was an event where it was an indoor and outdoor. We went outside with our drinks and we were talking. And she was sharing her testimony with me. She was like, her weight loss began with after her divorce. You know, she was like, you know, she's been struggling with her weight all her life, and she had to figure out a way to change her lifestyle, but she was just stuck. She couldn't change. And her therapist, she got, see guys, the key word is therapist. She went and got help. Let me tell you something. Getting help is important. This is what she told me, not verbatim, but I'm going to paraphrase what she said. She said to me, I almost said her name. She said to me that she went and got therapy, and her therapist was like, you know, the reason why you're struggling with your weight is because everyone around you is struggling with your weight. She says, I'm not asking you to eliminate the people in your life, because clearly you need those people in your life. But what you need to start doing is start hanging around people who have the healthy lifestyle that you want to have. That way you can get around a habit of being around people or observing people who are living a healthy lifestyle, so that you can start living a healthy lifestyle. And her response to the therapist, I'm not comfortable doing that. I can reach that goal with the people around me. And the therapist is like, why are you not comfortable doing that? She goes, it just makes me feel uncomfortable being around people who are physically fit. And this is what I am talking about. This is not my story, and this is not a made-up story. This is a true story, okay? And the point of me telling you this story is, this is what she said. She was not comfortable being around people that was her goal, like what she wanted to be like. She was more comfortable being around people who looked like her, because people who didn't look like her and who she wanted to look like made her uncomfortable. And this is what I am talking about. I'm using this example, but I can sit here and use tons of examples. When you're not comfortable with who you are, it's impossible to be able to celebrate other people. You can't do it. You might try to do it. You might pretend to do it, but you will always go back to your default setting. Let me ask you a question. Let me give you something. Have you ever witnessed someone, I don't care who you are, somebody in his life have known someone who's done this. They meet a guy or they meet a girl, right? And they change who they are to appease that person. They pretend to like what the person like. They pretend to be something that they're not. But what happens eventually? Eventually, the core of that person shows up. The guy can't fake it anymore. The woman can't fake it anymore, because who you really are cannot be suppressed. It can't. It's going to float. It's like a bottle of water you throw in the ocean. It may sink down, but eventually it has to float up. The key to being happy, the key to having healthy relationship, the key to having even a relationship with God, a spiritual relationship, a spiritually grounded relationship, and a relationship of intimacy with God, where you're constantly at the foot of the cross and you're at God's bosom, is to first love yourself. You have to love yourself first. And someone says, well, I do love myself. Well, how do I know I don't love myself? You pay attention to the conversations that you have about yourself to yourself. So whatever you think about yourself when you look in the mirror, that's how you feel about yourself. The things that you say about yourself is what you feel about yourself. If you are someone that says, you know what, I have bad luck, nothing ever works out with me, that's how you feel about yourself. Not only that you feel about yourself, now you took the words, you've said it out to the universe, and we all know how words are powerful. Now those same words are going to reflect back and manifest on you. So that's how you know how you feel about yourself. Those private thoughts that you have when you're in the mirror, when you're naked in the mirror, the things that you pick and nab about, the things that you criticize yourself about, the words that you use to refer to yourself about, what you believe that you can do and what you believe you cannot do, how you treat yourself, how delicate you are to yourself, how you value your body, how you value your space. Boundaries is a clear indication of how someone values yourself and how someone has, if someone has self-love or not. If you are a person that doesn't have the ability to set boundaries in your life, you don't love yourself. Because people who care about themselves and people who love themselves are not going to allow people to invade their space and disrespect them voluntarily. You're going to set boundaries. It doesn't make sense. You can't love yourself and then allow people to treat you any type of way, because we all teach people how to treat us. And if you're treating yourself like garbage, you're going to accept garbage. So the key to self-love is to love yourself first. You have to love yourself first. And when you love yourself first, you're going to be able to love other people around you. And I heard that I've heard this thing for so long, and until I got therapy. Therapy was one of the best things that I've ever done in my life, guys. It's one of the best things I've ever done, even though she's a beast. I need to make a video one day, guys, and tell you about my therapy journey. For those of you who follow me, I've talked about this before. Homegirl had me come to my first session with not a stitch of makeup. I don't wear heavy makeup anyway, but not a stitch, not a lip gloss, not a chopstick, nothing. At the time I had hair, she made me put my hair in a ponytail. I'm like, this lady crazy. You know, I don't like her sometimes. She gets on my nerve, but she is the best thing that God has used. She's the resource that God is the source, and God used her as a resource to help me be the person that you guys are seeing today. You know, I'm a person that I found the balance between self-love and boundaries and standing up for yourself. You know, I'm at a point in my life where I was telling my best friend, I think the other day I was telling her, I said, I don't know if it is age. You know, the older you get, it's like the less tolerant you get for certain things. And I told her that my main focus lately, and I've been studying, is to find a balance between letting God fight your battles and when to stand up for yourself. And guys, believe it or not, that is part of self-love. It's part of self-love. It's to know when to say, hey, this is not right. I'm not going to accept this, and we are not going to do this. This behavior is unacceptable. Try Jesus, don't try me. There are times in our lives that we have to do that. And also another part of me that I'm accepting. Listen, if you put me on a pedestal, that's your business. You know, I hear Rebecca Lynn Pope. If you guys don't follow her, you need to follow her. One of the things that Rebecca Lynn Pope, every time she says it, I'm laughing because she reminds me of myself sometimes. Because Rebecca Lynn Pope was like, don't put me on no pedestal because you're going to be disappointed. Don't be putting me under the category pastor's wife. Don't be trying to put me in this Christianity pedestal because, honey, the minute you put me on this pedestal, you're going to hear me cussing. Let me tell you something, just like Rebecca Lynn Pope says, don't put me on no pedestal because you're going to get real disappointed. Because, honey, cuss words be flowing out my mouth. Now, I'm not encouraging people to cuss, but what I'm saying is I cuss. I drink a glass. I haven't drank in a long time, but, you know, when the world comes back to normal, I'm the one to go out to lunch with a girlfriend and drink some wine. In old school Christianity, you can't drink wine. That's part of self-love, too. You know what self-love is? Being yourself. Being okay with being you. which means that if you want to go out and have a glass of wine at dinner, you have it. You don't worry about, oh, sister so-and-so might walk in the restaurant. She might see me drinking a bottle of wine. She don't say I'm not saved. Self-love is saying to yourself, I am going to be who I am and whose I am everywhere that I go. That's part of self-love too. And self-love is telling people, don't put me on no pedestal, boo. Because you put me on a pedestal, you're going to be real disappointed. Because if you try me, I might have to check you. You know what I'm saying? And that's part of self-love. Is being able to understand that it's important that you're... Let me tell you something. People don't like fake people. People don't gravitate towards people who are not themselves. People don't like that. People will call you on your crap. One of the things that people love, and if you notice all the people that have like these major platforms that are biblically based and they inspire people, if you see the common denominator with all these people, they're authentic and they're transparent. They keep it real. People don't like listening to people that say one thing and do another. Because what's going to happen is when what you say and what you do doesn't match, your energy is going to snitch on you. So transparency is important. Be who you are. Love yourself enough to show up as yourself. And that's why you have to be who you are no matter how much it agitates everybody else. If it agitates people by being yourself, it's not a problem that you need to pack up and put on your back. It's not your cross to carry. That is somebody else's issue. It's not your issue. Your only responsibility is to know who you are and be that person. That's it. And the key to having healthy relationships and attracting healthy relationships in your life is to love yourself. That's it. Love yourself. And hopefully I haven't babbled on, because my best friend says I talk too much on these videos. So I have to learn how to take constructive criticism. I apologize. I do jabber. She's probably going to say I talk too much in this one too. So I'm going to end it so I don't hear her mouth. But, hopefully you guys got something out of this. And just keep in mind, if you want to do a little check test, say, hey, I want to make sure I love myself. Pay attention to what you say about yourself to yourself in private and what comes out of your mouth about yourself. That's it. And then once you focus on getting the help that you need to work on getting self-love, it will reflect in your environment, and it will also reflect in the relationships in your life and the relationships that you allow inside of your life and the relationships that you allow, you sever, you get rid of. All right, so let me go. My bestie say I talk too much, so I'm going to go. You guys have a nice day. Bye.